You
want to do it, Jim?
Jim? Maybe?
No, I wrote that.
I don't mind. I can do it.
Okay. Got it.
I love you guys.
All right. Let me know when you're ready there, Christian.
You can begin. I'm good to go.
Good. All right, we'll now call the city council meeting to order for January 22nd. Please rise to the invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation will be given by Councilwoman Brittany McGuire.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for everybody that came out tonight, Lord, to help us discuss these issues before the city. And Lord, I'm asking you to give us wisdom as we go forth making the decisions. Help us to do the absolute best for Avon Park. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May be seated. Madam Clerk, if you'll please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Councilmember McGuire,
Here.
Councilmember McCure,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Here.
Mayor Anderson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Up first, we have the consent agenda. This will be item number 4 and 5. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Just a comment to Randy. Looks like the matrix is working. Just a nod, yes or no, be good. Okay.
He voiced it.
All right. Item number 6, this is going to be a public hearing for the second reading of ordinance number 11-2023.
An ordinance to amend the city code of section 2-33 of the city code increasing council pay and allowing participation by council members in city insurance program, providing for conflicts and severability, providing for inclusion in the code and an effective date.
Okay, as I said, this is going to be a public hearing. Public hearing for ordinance number 11-2023 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue can now do so. See no hands. Public hearing for ordinance number 11-2023 is now closed. Is there any questions from the council or comments?
No.
Seeing none, be looking for a motion.
Make a motion, we approve, ordinance number 11-2023, please.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 7, this would be an approval for an individual project for order number 20. Be Kimley Horn. There is a representative from Kimley Horn here. If we have any questions for him, we also have our city staff. This would be for a 2-lane master lift station. Could one of the staff members just give us an overview of this particular lift station, exactly what this project is?
Good evening.
Evening.
Joseph Sleva, Utility Manager. So the reason we're here this evening for the IPO 20 is that the master lift station is at capacity. It's outdated. It's undersized. It's on the side of Lake Tulane. It's an eyesore. It's a danger. And overall, it just needs to be redone for the growth of the city and the well-being of the lake, the environment.
Any questions on this project? Seeing none, is there anyone wishing to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve D7, the individual project order number 20.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 8, this will be information on pending House Bill HB 777.
So this bill is to try to remove the 25% surcharge that utilities charge in the state of city utilities charge in the state of Florida for outside the city limits customers. No explanation as to why, because it's been around for 50 years, but the legislature in its infinite wisdom has decided they want to do away with it. We're hoping that they'll change their mind. I wrote an open letter regarding the possible impacts on that. We'll see if anybody buys that. Hopefully they will. But the Florida League of Cities is going to utilize it and try and use it for lobbying. But the real problem is not only if they pass it and you lose the 25%, which is significant, but you have a lot of people outside the city limits already. And the bill goes into effect July 1st. So what I've been advising the cities to do is evaluate how much revenue you're going to lose as of July 1st by the 20, if it passes, because that is going to be significant.
Well, that was the question, is if we had an estimate as to how much of our revenue is coming from that.
I asked Melly to do it. I don't know if she did it, but I've been talking to my equivalent Sebring. They've figured theirs up to be 2 million.
How much?
2 million.
So I had to reach out to our software company, Navaline, to create a report for that. So I'm waiting to hear back. And hopefully when BSNA gets up and running in utility billing, we won't have to do that.
And so, the other thing is, in the future, you're going to want to consider whether you want to even serve people outside your city limits at this point. Because as I mentioned in my letter, which I think you all have a copy of, is,
We do.
we're, even with regulatory lag, or if the rates are not set at the proper amount, it's subsidized by city taxes, and they're not tax paying. And so those subsidies will now just be purely on your own citizens as opposed to the people that are paying the rates, which is the way it should be. There's also costs that I've outlined that, associated with serving people outside, not just the distance, but the cost of pumping and both ways and other items. And so I did mention that, it's going to be some developers that are going to be screaming because they're not going to get water and sewer, so they're not going to get the densities that they want without doing package plants. And package plants are the small sewage plants and small water plants that Florida Department of Environmental Protection hate with a passion, because they're hard to regulate and they constantly pollute. PSC is also not very fond of them, especially if they become a utility. Then they have to regulate these little tiny utilities with their staff, and it's just not a pretty thing for them either. So
That's what I was going to ask, is if there's any way of working with the EPA to at least get their opinion into it, because they have to absolutely hate this bill.
at DEP, and I would think that they would, if they know the impact, which they may not. And I put it in my letter, is that hopefully somebody will talk to DEP and say, what do you think about this? Because that, I guarantee, will be, there's going to be a lot of people that the citizens are going to say, do not provide service to people that are not going to be, citizens, very soon. You could do somebody who's, maybe got one lot that is going to eventually be filled in, for the 25%. But, somebody that may not do it for 10 years. Why would you give your capacity, which your citizens have already paid for through bonds, initially, and then through rates to somebody outside the city limits? So
That's the biggest detriment, not necessarily to Avon Park in particular, but just to towns around Florida. There's been a huge push to take people off of septic tanks and put them on municipal septic to get potential waste spills out of our rivers and out of our waterways. So this absolutely flies in the face of that.
it really is. I think, I just don't think they properly considered the unintended consequences of this action. It probably sounded good to them, and ultimately, you will be able to adjust to it over time, but not by July 1st.
Sure.
Because it's just, there's no way you can get a rate case done because everybody in the world, big cities first, are going to be, because they're going to be multi-million dollars losses for them. They're going to be, sucking up all the rate analysts for it. But ultimately, you can do a rate analysis for the outside people. And if it's more, then okay. If not, then you just lost the 25%, but there's no way you can adjust for it now and before July 1st. I mean, if they were to do it, I would strongly advise that they do it over a 5-year, 10-year period to allow you to adjust and start getting that out of your budget. As it's just going to be a terrible situation. But sadly, I think they're going to go forward with it. It seems to have a lot of momentum.
Okay. Well, is there anything that the council can do to help in any way?
Contact your legislators, state legislators. I mean, absolutely, this is the paramount, because so far it's just sort of like it's just nobody's getting anywhere with in the committees or anything else. It's just going through. So it needs to be stopped. And that's only going to happen if you get enough people talk to legislators to let them know that you're going to be very unhappy with that, because it's going to be a huge loss of money.
Does it seem to be a bipartisan effort, or?
I don't know if it's bipartisan or not. That I don't know. I just had heard from somebody who is well connected to the legislature who said that it's got a lot of heat.
Gotcha. Okay, any questions?
As a city council, could we write up some type of a letter of opinion and have each council member sign and send it to all the representatives that we're associated with?
Yeah, you can do that. I just don't think that gets as much attention as you actually contacting them personally and saying, this is a mess and you're going to kill the cities if you do this, and do it by July 1st. I mean, I don't want to say, well, give us more time, because then they'll still do it. I think they shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
But if they have to do it, if they feel like they can, there's no way to avoid it, then they've got to give you a lot of time to adjust to that. Otherwise, it's the financial impact is going to be devastating.
And with that, if you call, I sent to Representative Tuck on Friday and Senator Grail this morning, Jerry's letter.
Okay.
And I got with both the representatives and asked them to make sure that they get that, because with Jerry's background, this needs to be heard. So if you call, you might want to refer them to make sure they see Jerry, because I can't imagine anybody could write a better one than that with his background.
Can we reach out to the county as well and perhaps have the commissioners reach out to their representatives?
We could. Sebring's was already putting something together, and when I told them about Jerry's, they asked if they could get Jerry's letter and see if they've missed anything. So they've got that.
Seems like the counties have an ever increasing weight in these decisions. So
Yeah, somebody said, and I don't know that whether it's true or not, but somebody said that this is not unintentional, that it's going to hurt cities, that the preference is for counties as opposed to cities, especially small cities.
Okay.
That's what somebody said. I'm not saying that that's true. I'm just simply saying that is what somebody who deals with the legislature said.
got it.
Well, and then did you get the other one I sent you and asked you saw that, Bill, about kind
Yeah.
of deals the same thing about return on investment?
Yeah. It's just, this year, from what I was told, it's going to be as bad or not, if not worse, as last year, where that Form 6 thing came in and several other things. The economic impact thing and for ordinances and all that. Unfunded mandates are the call of the year.
Any other questions? Seeing none, that does conclude our, city manager updates. Anything?
Well, you see, there's no updates from FAA. Actually, it's good that Jameson's here. But you remember we went out for that $19.5 million grant for the upgraded wastewater treatment plant. We did not get it, but we met with Jameson and someone who works with them who they took from the state. And she said a lot of people are getting these, there's so many people looking for these grants. The ones she sees are going to are ones that have put up some money, done the design and that. So Jameson asked, and we said, yes, he put in for a state the state revolving fund to put in for. Do you want to speak about that? Quick, just quick. Thanks.
Good evening, Jameson Tondro, Kimmy Horn. We looked to help the city submit for the state revolving funds through DEP, and with the hope that the city also receives some debt forgiveness as well, because it is a low interest loan, I believe, over like 20 years or
20.
something like that, but it's very low, but there's also debt forgiveness. So for design, we're hoping that you can get potentially up to like, let's say 70 or 80% debt forgiven. So it's, you know, they're seeking for a little over $1 million. So hopefully 70 to 80% of that is going to be debt forgiven, but we'll see following that meeting in February is when they go to select those different projects. And then soon after that, they'll be looking to have an agreement in place with the city. And at that time, we'll probably find out or not if there's funding available for the debt forgiveness.
Any questions for Jameson on that?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That same grant is gonna come out again the end of next year, or this year, really, later this year. So we're expecting that we'll submit again for it, for construction dollars, which is a lot more. And now that hopefully with the project being more project ready, you know, being ready to go to construction, hopefully that will improve the chances of getting funded this time around.
Do you know if there's a time limit on the actual construction dollars?
I do not know on the time.
It would have to be a multi-year project to actually
Correct.
build that.
Yeah, we were expecting construction would take close to 2 years
I see.
on this, so it would take time.
Okay.
Thanks, Jameson. And the last one, not here to talk about it, just for me to bring it up for hopefully maybe the next meeting, but we still need to talk about the Christmas decorations on the mall without, I'm hoping not big, long talk, just maybe if you want it on the next meeting, Mayor, that everybody comes in kind of what they think that we can move forward on it before we know it, we'll snap our fingers, it'll be Christmas time again, so.
Sure. So one of the reasons why we push it forward is obviously the discussion was going on and on without much resolution. I think Jim was going to be gone, so we kind of kept pushing it back till everybody could be here. So
Yep. I got a
If it's-
couple ideas too, so.
well, if it's something that everyone who's interested thinks that they're ready to talk about it and try to get something done, then we'll bring it up for the next meeting. So that's the question is,
Yeah, I would,
Ready?
I have a couple ideas. I'd like to, if everybody's agreeable, to
Okay.
bring it up. I think a way we could do it smoothly without stepping on too many feet as
Okay.
far as sunshine, all that kind of stuff.
very good. Then we'll put it on for the next one.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just quick one, we're hoping to hear back from the last little bit, no? No, probably tomorrow, we're hoping we'll be sending a letter to a Public Works Director on salary and that, and he seems jam up, we just need to finish up a little bit on his, he called and I talked to him before the first meeting, so.
Excellent.
I think we're all gonna be pretty happy. I think I brought up last time that he just left down there and he's in one of those beach towns down in Miami. And he drove down Main Street. He goes, boy, I got some ideas what you can do here. So,
Good.
well, he worked in Miami Beach, but then he was in Ball Harbor Village and then Ball Harbor Town. Probably
Very
wasn't
good.
living there, but he was working there.
Sure. That's excellent news. We've been looking for one for a very long time. So hopefully we'll have a full team there.
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you have any updates on the Florida Avenue a couple years? Well, it's been a couple years now where they hit the corner of the culvert. There's some right in front of ARC
Main Street.
on Main Street on
Yep.
Florida.
We got a hold of FDOT when that happened
Mhm.
and David's talked to him 4 times. And I guess when they get enough projects in the area, that's when they'll fix it.
When what?
When they get enough project to justify them getting things done in this area, that's when they'll do it. That's what they told him.
His DOT staff that does it.
So we just continue to have phones?
Well, we can't do it. It's FDOT's property. We can't fix it for them, but we can I thought removing the cones, the cones aren't doing anything at this point. Just broken,
I mean, it's not like
Concrete.
it's-
huh?
Yeah,
It's less of an obstacle now than it was with it being, now it's a ramp instead of a curb.
okay, well, that's what cause I saw some people out looking at it. It was, I don't know, quite a few months ago. They were out just kind of standing there looking around at it. Not our workers, it was DOT people. So I didn't know if that, kind of lit a fire or anything, but apparently not.
We'd like to see it fixed too. That's why I've had David call him 3 or 4 times now. Good
We do have a
question.
resurfacing project that is on the horizon, so
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be done before then.
Exactly.
Let's hope.
Anything else? Anything else for the good of the city?
I
I-
just have one more question. I'm
Go
so
ahead.
sorry, don't,
Yeah,
you
no
guys don't hate me tonight. The gazebo, are we gonna permanently keep that closed? Or keep it closed permanently?
Keep the gazebo closed. I
I
didn't,
saw that there was a
There's
closed rope
closed sign.
across there.
it still was there today.
Yeah, it's got a rope across the stairs that says closed. It's been like that for, I don't know, maybe,
I saw it last
Couple
week. I don't know. I'll find out why it's still there.
You-
I was just curious if they did that to keep people off of it or if there was some kind of issue going on with construction on it or something.
I'll find out.
Okay, no problem.
Anything else for the good of the city?
I think that sometime in the near future, we need to have some kind of a meeting or conversation about this new Form 6 that is coming out this year because there was I'll just make it real brief, but obviously there's several people in public office that are leaving because of the fact that they're the form is requiring, I'm not positive, but it looks like they're asking you to show everything as personal worth. And that not only can it be complicated and also sharing private information I believe should be private, but the one thing I wanted to bring up is that I believe that the city of Sebring voted recently that they were going to see if they would give $500 to each city council member that stayed to pay for their CPA to pay for it because it's so complicated, which I imagine for a business person, it's going to be a nightmare and for their accountant could be very costly. So I know, I think was something we need to at least everybody to look at, think about it, and then see if there's something, I don't, from what Jerry says, we can't do anything about it, but I sure don't like telling everybody, my private financial business, but it looked like we might not have a choice, but if it's going to cost having an accountant to do it, especially if you're a business owner, then maybe there's some way that Jerry said, maybe city could somehow compensate us or raise our income to help pay for our accountant's work, because it's bad enough if you're a private citizen, especially a retired person, doesn't have just basically income from retirement money. But if you're a business person, that's gonna be a whole different story. It could be quite costly. So I think we need to put that on agenda. If there's any way we could get somebody that is an expert on it, maybe even have a meeting on it, a class on it, but just my thoughts.
So the recommendation I made to Zolfo Springs was that they couldn't pay an accountant to do it for their board members because of the state of Florida ethics is a private matter of the persons involved. However, they could pay more for the payment that goes to the commissioners and the mayor in order to, compensate for the cost of the mayor or the CPA. And, I totally agree after looking at it briefly, it looked to me like if I were to do it, if I were to be required to do it, I would have had a CPA do it as well. Simply because it's complex, but there's nothing you can do about what is going to be disclosed. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. But I've been told the Florida League of Cities is trying to lobby to have it taken back to Form 1. But is that where it's going to go? But I lost 2 commissioners in San Antonio.
Yeah. That's happening all over the state, as well as you have to realize too, that some of the boards, like the pension boards, they fill out Form 1. So I'm assuming they're going to have to fill out a Form 6. So what happens if you're on a board that meets once a quarter? If you're not comfortable with putting your finances out there to the world, we may lose board members on some of these, which is not going to be good either. So there was multiple things to think about, but like I said, it'd be nice if we had somebody that could come in and I don't know, just give us a brief description of what we do, or we had an accountant that would, who was an expert, but
Well, I
most
think,
accountants are pretty busy right now, I think.
yeah. Well, I like the accountant idea better than having someone talk to all of us, just because every single person's situation is going to be completely different. And so if they're not giving you absolutely specific advice as to your exact event, then it's kind of pointless, you know?
Okay,
So,
I see your point. I go with that.
but definitely, I mean, that's just going to be doing mine at CPA.
It's gonna be a nightmare.
Whether I'm paying for it or somebody else paying for it, it's still going to happen. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Don't like it though.
right.
So when does this form is the deadline for this is when?
Usually it's first week of July, isn't it?
Yeah. There is a grace period into September, but July's the deadline to get it in to be on time.
And we usually don't get the forms until at most a month before that. So I would think that maybe after April 15th, you might, or whenever you talk to your accountant,
Yeah.
make an appointment to meet with them before that date, knowing that it's coming up, and see if they are even knowledgeable of doing it, or if you gotta find somebody else.
Yeah. Well, the form is available online, so you can get it now if you like.
Yeah, Mark and I have to file Form 1, and they were talking about making city managers do Form 6 too. Fortunately for Mark that they didn't accept that yet.
Any other questions or comments?
Hold on.
Seeing none, anything else for the good of the city? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Oh, yes, sir. You have to get the name and address in the microphone there. In the microphone.
My name is Louis Holst. I own a property here in Avon, City of Avon Park, 1308 South Fogle Avenue.
Yes, sir.
I'm a construction worker.
Okay.
And I'm trying to, get, trying to break out on my own.
Mhm.
So I bought a lot from the tax deed sale from the county.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the mistake of assuming that since I bought it from the county, it was everything that, let's say if there was a lien or something, it was gonna be wiped out.
Mm.
Now, I invested all I had, plus some credit cards, I maxed out my credit cards. And then I went for a construction loan to finish the house. And they said, we can move with the construction loan until this is wiped out. I'm here asking for help. I found out that there was a house there previously,
Mm-hmm.
and it was demolished, I think, 2008, 2009. And before demolished, they gave them a lien or a fine, $250 per day,
Mhm.
and it ran up 10 months. And in between that time, if I understand correctly, the house was demolished. Now that's 68,000 plus $4,000 that the city spent to demolish the house.
Mm-hmm.
My request for you is, since I am hanging by a string
Mm-hmm.
and improving the property, whatever violation the previous homeowner had.
Right.
Doesn't exist anymore. So in order for the loan, for me to get the loan, that has to be clear.
Right.
No.
Have you gone through the process of asking for the?
Yeah, I spoke,
Yeah.
I got with Mr. LaBelle
Mhm.
and Mr. LaBelle,
You're the one that called me in Germany, right?
yeah, the city attorney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was told you was that the fact that you didn't check is not a basis for forgiveness, but there are other bases that you can probably qualify for improvement of the property and the value of your improvements. It won't be 100%, sorry. But the policy that the city council has approved does allow for some forgiveness based on what you do in order to make it a, a good home in the neighborhood as opposed to what it was before and probably is now, probably a, terrible looking lot. But, yeah, but you have to go through
Yeah, I
code
did,
enforcement.
I put in an application, I gave him the money
Okay.
order. Now, and Mr. Bell has been great. Now, my problem is, what he told me was that I have to pay for the demolition, the $4,000 before it could, move forward and then see what the result would be from the original lien. Now, my problem is I am wiped out. I don't have the funds to, if I had it, I
Sure.
would, because,
Right.
So,
Okay, Randy, is that accurate?
Yeah, it's accurate. I've had numerous meetings with Louis, and he understands the process. I have the application sitting in the office. I have his $300 money order. He has to pay per the resolution. He has to pay hard cost owed to the city, which is the 4,000 whatever dollars it was for a city paid for demolition back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're getting calls. I've literally got 3 calls from some guy in South Florida wanting the payoff for that lien. I don't know what's going on with the second person who keeps calling, but I believe he did a public record request trying to get that information. So we're waiting on the 4,000 and some dollars to be paid
Mm-hmm.
to get to the process of bringing this in front of you, but clearly states until that's paid, it's not coming to you.
Okay, so you can't do the matrix and find out what would be forgiven above and beyond that.
I already have.
I got you.
Yeah, I pretty much know what the matrix, and I've told him what the probability of the percentage that he's eligible for.
Okay.
What's the address on this again?
1308 South Fogle Avenue, Fogle.
Oh,
So what they're telling you is that is the process that we use. And so the hard costs have to be paid for, by the homeowner. Plain and simple. So if he's already told you how much would be likely to be forgiven, obviously it can't come before the board for an official answer, but he knows the matrix of what the guidelines are. So if you can't go forward with that, there's nothing else that we can do for you, basically. Yeah. And of course, one opinion, but that's, as far as I know, that's what the rules are. Any other comment, question? Okay.
That can't be financed. Like,
Anything else on that? If anything you say, he's got to be in that microphone. You will just give your name again. So
My name is Louis Holz. I own a property in 1308 South Fogle Avenue.
yes, sir.
What if you, those, $4,000, put it towards the end, and before I get the CO on the property, you put a lien on it to make sure I pay for it. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, and I think that's what he was saying. That's what I was thinking, maybe could be done is you maintain the right to still put the 4,000 on there. And, it has to be paid before the end, but he would have an agreement. That's how we are doing these based on the improvement of the property. You have an agreement that the liens will be relieved if the value is, as you say, what you construct and you promise to construct is done. Then the bank should accept that as far as the remainder of the lien. We can't relieve it until it's done, because then obviously you could walk away and say, well, thanks very much, but the bank should accept that going forward. And then the 4,000 could be paid off the top when you sell the house.
Yes, sir.
Could I add something to this?
Sure.
In respect to the condition of the property as it was and is now, obviously it was a vacant lot. Well, it is a vacant lot. there was a past demo, obviously, for unsafe structure. Lewis has probably the lot in the rate it's going is going to be advantageous to the city because he's got a house that's probably half built on there. He's out of his own money. He's paid, it's got the concrete block up, it's got the roof on it. I don't know that it's framed out on the inside or anything yet, but he's probably got 50 grand into it. So it's going to be advantageous because it's going to generate tax, it's going to generate a fire assessment, it's going to generate solid waste. Before it's basically generating tax on an $1,800 lot, where this will most likely be well in excess of $100,000, which would help the city.
Sure.
I just wanted that.
Good.
So it's conceivable we'd have to modify your policy, but I think it is conceivable that you could do that, because you're still protected as long as the lien is in place. And we're promising to release the lien, and that's it until he's done and the house is sold, in which case we can relieve the lien up to the 4,000 or whatever the full costs are. I think there's an application fee and all that stuff.
He's already paid that.
Okay, good.
Are you planning to sell the house or are you planning to live in the house?
No, I'm planning to sell it, and then I have a other certificate, and I have another certificate right here in Walnut Street over here. And like what the gentleman that was sitting there was saying, you guys have a lot of lots, I have construction skills. I've been in the construction business since 2009. So I mean, this is a good town. And I want to be part of what he was saying, that improvement. So if you allow me to, I'll be an asset to whatever city plans you have.
So the intent of this lien relief program that you all intended, as I understand it, is really to try and get these properties back into use and as tax paying and good neighbors to the other people on the block. So it would, the way we would frame this would not violate that.
So how do we go about getting this resolved?
I would have to check the policy, but I believe it's going to have to be amended as it is right now. And then once it's amended, then we could move forward on it.
So this is something you'd bring to us at our next meeting?
I could.
Any objection to bringing it up at our next meeting?
No.
All right, we'll hear it at our next meeting. Sir. Last call. Is there anything else for the good of the city? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.
Thank you.